as a small or maybe mid-sized business owner here in Texas, maybe you're up near DFW or down in the valley, you find this great new person, you hire them.
Yeah, you're excited thinking they're going to be fantastic.
Exactly. And then, well, maybe the reality hits. Either they're just not hitting their stride as fast as you hoped, or, even worse, they're heading for the door after just a few months. It's really frustrating.
Oh, absolutely. That initial excitement, it can just evaporate. And it turns into a real drain, not just on money, but on morale, too, if that new person isn't really brought into the fold properly.
That's exactly what we want to unpack today. We're doing a deep dive into how a really structured, thought-out onboarding process can be a complete game changer. For the new employee, sure, but also for your Texas business itself. We're drawing on some fresh insights from the Unit Consulting. They're an HR consulting firm based right here in Texas, and they really get the unique challenges that businesses like yours face locally.
And our goal today really is to show you that onboarding, it's more than just checking boxes on paperwork. It's actually a strategic tool. It can significantly boost your team's success and, yeah, your bottom line, too.
Right. Strategic. I like that. So we'll dig into why it matters so much, what some of the best practices look like, common mistakes you really want to avoid.
Definitely want to cover those pitfalls.
And also how a Texas firm, like the Unit Consulting, can give you that specific tailored help you might need. So let's jump in. Why is effective onboarding such a big deal?
Well, think about this for a second. Gallup, they do tons of research on this stuff. They found that employees who have a positive onboarding experience are almost 3 times more likely to feel confident in their role.
Wow, 3 times. That's significant.
It is. And think about what a confident new hire means. They're more likely to, take initiative, start contributing faster. It's not just about feeling good.
No, it sounds like it directly impacts how they actually do their job from day one.
It absolutely does. Onboarding is really about building that foundation. It's not just handing them a manual and saying good luck. It's about making them feel like they genuinely belong and showing them a clear path, what's expected of them.
And that connects to some pretty tangible benefits for the business, right? I was looking at some of the points the Unit Consulting makes, and retention comes up a lot.
Exactly. Retention is huge. When people feel welcomed, supported, when they understand their role in the bigger picture, they're just much more likely to stay.
Which, for a small Texas business, means saving money.
Significant savings. Think about the cost of recruiting, hiring, training all over again. Reducing turnover frees up those dollars, lets you reinvest in growth, maybe marketing, whatever you need.
Makes perfect sense. Building loyalty right from the start. And then there's productivity. We all want new hires contributing, well, sooner rather than later.
And a structured process speeds that up. If you clearly outline the role, give them the tools they need, provide focused training, they just get up to speed faster.
Cuts down that initial, sometimes awkward ramp-up time.
Precisely. It gets them engaged in their actual responsibilities much quicker.
And I guess feeling productive early on, that must really help with their overall job satisfaction, too. I mean, nobody likes feeling lost or like they're not pulling their weight in a new job.
You've got it. When new hires feel valued, when they're set up to succeed right from the beginning, it just creates a better vibe, a more positive environment. And happy employees, well, they tend to be more productive employees. It helps a whole team.
Okay, so the why is pretty clear. Effective onboarding is crucial, especially for Texas businesses trying to grow and compete. So let's get practical. What are some actual steps, some best practices that owners or managers can implement? The Unit Consulting must have some solid advice here.
They certainly do. And one of the absolute cornerstones is just clear, consistent communication and setting expectations right from the get-go.
It sounds almost too obvious, maybe, but I can see how it gets missed.
Oh, it does. Things get busy. You're juggling a million things as a business owner, and it's easy to assume, oh, they'll figure it out. But you really need to be explicit.
Explicit about the job itself, the responsibilities, but maybe even the bigger picture. Like the company's goals.
Yes, absolutely. Explaining how their specific role fits into that bigger picture, how it contributes, that provides context, motivation. It helps everyone pull in the same direction.
Okay, clear communication, setting expectations. What else? I know setting goals early on is often mentioned.
That's another key practice. Setting short-term goals, things that are achievable, measurable. It gives new hires early wins.
Like building momentum.
Exactly. They can see they're contributing. They can track their progress. It's really encouraging in those first few weeks, first few months, when everything is still new and maybe a bit overwhelming.
Yeah, those mini wins sound important. What about assigning a mentor
Hmm.
or creating some kind of buddy system or support network.
Incredibly valuable. A mentor or even just a designated go-to person can provide guidance on all sorts of things, not just the official processes, but the unwritten rules, the company culture stuff.
The things that aren't in the handbook?
Right, those informal questions, it just helps them integrate faster, feel more connected, feel like they belong.
And then, of course, the training itself and having the right resources available. It needs to be more than just, hey, watch Sarah for an hour.
Oh, definitely. Training needs to be comprehensive, tailored to the actual job they'll be doing, and provide resources they can refer back to, guides, checklists, maybe online
That's
modules.
not just a one-off thing.
No, and that's a point the unit consulting really emphasizes. Training should be ongoing, and you need regular check-ins to reinforce that learning, make sure they have the tools they need to actually perform well early on.
Which kind of leads into the next point, doesn't it? That idea of continuous support. Onboarding isn't just week one.
Not at all. Effective onboarding really extends over the first several months, minimum. Regular check-ins, maybe from the manager, maybe from the mentor, are crucial.
To answer questions, give feedback.
Exactly. Offer feedback, address any roadblocks they're hitting, and just generally make sure they continue to feel supported and valued as they settle in and grow into the role. It keeps them connected.
Okay, so those are some really solid strategies. Now let's flip it. What about the things to avoid? What are some common onboarding mistakes that Texas businesses, maybe especially the smaller or growing ones, tend to make?
Well, probably one of the most common and maybe most damaging is just a lack of preparation.
Ah, yeah. Showing up on day one and your computer isn't set up, nobody seems to know who you are or what you're supposed to be doing.
Right. It sends such a negative signal immediately, like, oh, they weren't really ready for me. Was I an afterthought? Having their workspace ready, equipment functioning, key introductions planned, it shows respect, professionalism. It sets the right tone.
Okay, lack of prep is a big one. What else? I've heard about the danger of just dumping information on people.
Oh, the information overload. Trying to drink from a fire hose on day one. It's completely counterproductive. Piling on paperwork, policies, procedures all at once. It's much better to break it down, spread the orientation out over a few days, maybe even weeks. Let them absorb things in manageable chunks.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Avoids that early burnout feeling. And I imagine poor communication or just not enough communication is another pitfall.
Huge issue. If expectations aren't clear, if communication is spotty or inconsistent, new hires just feel lost. They get confused, disengaged. You need regular, clear, transparent communication. Define those expectations clearly and encourage questions. Make it safe to ask.
What about feedback? You mentioned check-ins, but specifically feedback on how they're doing.
Neglecting that is a mistake. New hires need to know how they're doing, especially early on. It helps them adjust. Regularly scheduled feedback, even if it's just short, informal chats, helps them understand where they're succeeding and where they might need to focus or improve. It shows you're invested in their growth.
Good point. And lastly, something you touched on earlier, the cultural side. Especially in smaller Texas companies, their culture can be really tight-knit, right?
It really can be. And ignoring that cultural integration piece is a mistake. You need to actively help new hires understand the company's values, the way things work socially, the team dynamics. It's about helping them feel like they truly belong, like they're part of the community, not just someone filling a role.
This has been super insightful. It's really clear that a good onboarding process is not just some HR task. It genuinely impacts people and the business performance. So for our listeners in Texas who are thinking, okay, maybe our onboarding can be better, what kind of help is out there?
Well, that's exactly where a firm like the Unit Consulting comes in. Being based right here in Texas, they really understand the landscape for small and mid-sized businesses in our state, the specific challenges, the opportunities.
Right, and they specialize in actually designing and helping implement these kinds of effective onboarding programs, tailoring them to your specific company culture and business goals.
Exactly. They don't just offer a one-size-fits-all thing. They provide customized solutions. Maybe that's developing specific training materials. Maybe it's facilitating onboarding workshops for your team or providing ongoing strategic advice. It's about supporting those employees right from day one to set them up for long-term success.
So if you're listening, maybe you're that business owner in Houston or Austin or San Antonio, and you're thinking, yeah, we need to work on this. What's the next step? How can they find out more about the Unit Consulting?
The best way is just to reach out to them directly. The Unit Consulting really encourages businesses to call and just talk about their specific situation. They can help you figure out how a more strategic onboarding approach could really benefit your company.
Okay, and do you have the number for them?
I do. It's 956 956-230-6866.
Let me repeat that, 956-230-6866. It definitely sounds like a fantastic resource for getting that expert local Texas support to really turn your onboarding from maybe a weak spot into a strategic asset.
It absolutely is. It's truly an investment in your people, and that investment pays off. You see it in engagement, productivity, and keeping good people around longer.
So let's wrap this up. The key takeaway here for all the small and mid-sized businesses listening across Texas: investing time and thought into a structured onboarding process isn't just nice to have anymore. It's really essential.
Essential for better retention, higher productivity, and building that positive, engaged workplace culture we all want.
And if you're looking for some expert help to design or improve your program, the Unit Consulting offers that tailored HR support, bringing that valuable local Texas expertise.
They really do understand the context here.
So if you're ready to optimize how you bring new people onto your team, build a stronger workforce, definitely give the Unit Consulting a call. Again, that number is 956-230-6866. They're ready to help Texas businesses thrive.
And maybe just one final thought to leave you with. How much is maybe a less than ideal onboarding process actually costing your Texas business right now? Not just in dollars, but in lost potential, lost productivity. Could a more thoughtful, structured approach be the key to unlocking that potential and building a team that's truly committed to your success? Something to think about.